What's going on, everybody? It is Luke here again, bringing you another Mr. FBA UK video. So today it is going to be a little bit different than what we are normally doing. Basically today we're talking about, as you can see on the screen, when is it the right time to quit your job and move full-time online. Now, obviously, it depends on the business model, it depends on many different factors, and everything I'm going to cover in the video today will not be everyone's opinion because there is no right and wrong answer with a lot of what I'm going to be going over. All I can really do is give you a little background about me and then my mindset, and then how I then pursue and perceive the, how I would answer the question. Because, of course, like anything, there is no one correct path to salvation, or whatever you want to call it. There's no one way to do everything. Even with just general things like you can drive different roads to get to the same destination. Okay. So, and this was a question that was, basically I put a little comment out today saying, what sort of videos would people like? This was one, and actually this is really something that I like to share with people sometimes. And yes, obviously not everyone's going to agree with the way I see it. But that's just that. I can only give what I think, or not do the video at all, okay? So the way we're going to start is, I'm going to go over myself, my background, and then my mindset and the way that I then transition to full-time online. And then I'll go over what you need to be aware of and aspects that you either may or may not have considered, or things that you should consider before you actually just do it. So yes, it's not. I'm more a talking guy than I am a note guy. Okay. Little about me. Okay, so just from the beginning, from the get-go, I'm 30 years old. Yes, 30. A couple of months ago, 6 months ago or so. So just turned 30 about 6 months ago. I have a degree in business. I studied my AAT level 3, and I studied my AAT level 4, which is, it's basically like an accounting. If you want to be like an accountant, you've got to study financial qualifications rather than having a degree or something, you can't just go into that job. So you've got to do stuff. And I started studying my level 4, and it was so boring. So I ended up dropping out of that only because I was already then transitioned full-time online, and the whole point of doing it was to progress for a career, for a forward progressing career. And then I obviously was like, well, why am I doing this if I'm not going to pursue that career? And it was taking a lot of time up as well, and I wanted to focus online. So I only dropped out for that reason. It's not like I'm just, doing this, doing that. And now I'm here, and after university, the sort of jobs that I had were mainly finance. So I went to HSBC in like an investments finance, doing, client monies and stuff. And then I moved to another company. I was in another finance department, just in the general accounts team. And then moved to another company, and I was doing the same. And then that's where I started studying my AAT. And because you have to, if you want to progress in the finance industry, you've got to be getting either your SEMA, your ACCA, your AAT. You've got to be doing all that stuff on top of any degree, even if you had a finance degree. So I had to have a basic, basically a business studies degree. Just because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Obviously, your dad says, well, you should be getting a degree. Well, actually, one time I wanted to be a tennis coach. So I played tennis, basically. I wanted to be a tennis coach. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go do a degree in tennis coaching. My dad was like, no, you're not, because all my cousins are like lawyers and teachers and, I don't even know, architects, and I don't even know what they, just whatever they are. Something sort of, whatever you want to call that, account, I don't even know, account, yeah, just lots of stuff like that. So I had to go and get a proper degree, I guess. Anyway, that's a load of crap. So yeah, business did help, and it does help, and like there are things that I think are second nature in my mind to how I see things and pursue things where other people don't understand it. And yes, a good thing about doing the AAT in that is I have a general decent level of understanding in finance, like profit and loss, balance sheets, cash flow forecasting. I don't know whether, but I don't really, I didn't really study. I was one of those people that would, I just knew how to pass. not because I actually enjoyed it. So it was like all studying, I wouldn't listen. I would be literally like the guy just chatting for about 55 minutes out of an hour of the lessons, the most boring subjects in the world. And yeah, like tax, oh Jesus, all of those things, like, oof, no thank you. But I would pass all the exams because I would just, I basically would just crunch for 5 days, like 14-hour days, and pass. Just because I figured out, it's like a pattern. Yeah, there's patterns and there's ways to remember things, just like crunch the information, then you forget it the day after, which is completely pointless. But if that's what the system wants you to do, then you do it, I guess. If you know, just like anything, you see a CV, you see all these qualifications, and then you hire them and find out later if they're any good. So, you know, you can see from that the mindset of myself was a non-starter from the beginning, really. And I generally thought as time progressed, I would, you know, get to the point. And what actually happened, the reason I actually, you know, throughout my life, I guess, maybe from 17, I started doing online stuff. So when I was 17, I literally I made a website, and I was doing basically, built a website, was going on to AOL chat at the time, like dial up, you know, 52K dial up or something, whatever it was called, AOL at the time, exactly. So I was being 16, 17. Created a website, got people to, I went into chat rooms, and I was like spamming chat rooms with offers and stuff, and people were buying and doing that. And I did make like 700 quid in a month. And I'm like 16 and 17 in college. To me, that was amazing. I think I just wasted it straight away on like a flat screen TV, literally the same TV I've got now. Don't even know how it's a flat screen back then, but it is. I got like a iPod Shuffle and all that. But yeah, that was my first taste. And then as I got a little bit older, I always looked online to do things like drop shipping. But the problem was that I didn't really have, it was just my own brain. Like I was just online, and I would think, oh, that looks cool. What's that? Something called drop shipping. Well, I could build a website, no cash up front, and then I could go, and I already knew that I could easily, before I used to go onto the AOL chat, and I'd spam it. So I knew I sort of already got proof that I could find people to buy stuff, I guess. Again, I did zero research online. But that's exactly. Then another thing I did, I was building a student. I was a student in university, and I was building a student affiliate page website where everything relating to a student, from Sky TV, if you've got a flat of friends, or what credit card's best, what overdraft, what fees on the overdraft. Basically, you would go on the website, you would select your topic like overdrafts, and then you would be able to cycle through all the different banks basically and see which offers are the best, and then you'd be able to go through the link and sign up directly. Some were affiliate links, some weren't, because banks, I don't think, even offered affiliate links. But then Sky TV, for example, it would be like, if someone signs up through Sky TV, I can provide them back. I get 100% affiliate commission, but I can give them back 50% of my affiliate commission, so they actually get a welcome bonus. I then get 150 quid sign-on fee, and you know, all that sort of thing. Casinos, I think I added, because a lot of students guys play poker and stuff, so did that. But then I ended up stopping that because I just did. So I was very, very in and out. I had the right idea. All of that's the right. I mean, this was 10 years ago plus. So affiliate marketing and that would have been perfect, but I just had no real guidance. I had no guidance. No one. My dad had his own business, so that was sort of probably where it started. Building company. He built houses and stuff. But he always said, don't get into the family business. Business is awful and all that sort of thing. It's so much stress and that kind of mentality. And he would always say, go to college and go to university and get a degree in it. So there was no one in my family even spur me on to try to do business. I don't even think anyone knew. I'd just do it in my room or something. So I had no guidance. I didn't even know if it was a thing. I just thought, what is this that I'm even doing? Is it a thing? Am I just is it just like a delusional thing that I'm just creating? Does it exist? And obviously it did, but I didn't know. So then I obviously so that was sort of when I had a little bit there already, business mindset, all that sort of thing. And over my 20s, I basically didn't do anything. I went away to Vegas a couple of times. I wanted to be a professional poker player and all that sort of thing. but I was a bit, I didn't know where, there was no path. In my mind, it was just sort of a blank future, basically. It was just like, just ticking over. Because I thought, well, I've got a degree, I'm just doing all this, and still I'm getting like nowhere. So I'm doing everything they're telling me. This is what happened. I was doing everything they were telling me. And then after I would do everything they told me, they'd say, yeah, but it's not just about the qualifications, it's also about the attitude. And I was like, Jesus Christ, it's 2 years ago you told me to do it. I do it for 2 years. Like, I did college, like 6 hours of college every week. I was doing, and then they tell you, oh no, but it's not just that, it's now something else. And you're like, okay, well, this is never ending, it's never going to work. And then I used to get to the point where my mentality and attitude at work was like, well, I'm going to speak to the CEO of the business the same as I would speak to anybody, because we are all equal. And just because he is a CEO does not mean that I shouldn't speak to him the same and be accepted back as the same. Because everyone is capable as capable of as much as they want to become. Just because I am not that person yet doesn't mean that I am not that person or won't be that person. You see? So that's the wrong mindset to have in the culture of a business, because that is the opposite. They want you to do your job, and I was trying to do everything. I was like, I'm not just doing my job. So I would be, my manager would basically say to me, "You're doing this." I'd be like, "Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this," and I'll just do my own thing, because I would be like, I'm not boxed within this job title. I'll do what I'm capable of doing. So I literally would act as my own manager, I guess. And I ended up getting disciplinaries for it. Yeah, exactly. So, and it's not like I was a bad person. I wasn't doing anything wrong. It was just, I didn't, yeah. And and that is, it's a bad mindset to have when you have a job, but it's a great mindset to have when you are working for yourself, because I already had the self-belief that I could be anything I wanted to be. And that's actually the same for everybody. They should always have that, because just because of the situation. This is an interesting quote I always hear online on the motivational speaks. They say, just because you are in this situation now doesn't mean that this is who you are. Yeah, it's just an interesting thing, because like, you may have gone down the wrong path, but it doesn't mean that the person that you are is that person. Just like when people say, grow up and buy a house. Well, what do you mean grow up and buy a house? I just don't even understand the whole wording of that. It just really, it's just like, I look at, if people say that, I basically just rent, because I've never even been that bothered about buying, unless obviously if I had the money, because I'd rather use that money. I'd rather be more flexible, and I'd rather be able to, I don't want to be tied down for 30 years on a mortgage and have a career. And now I definitely can't do anything because I have to pay the mortgage, or it's going to be taken away from me. At least, like, I'm capable of doing whatever I want to be doing, wherever I want to be doing it, however I want to be doing it, that sort of thing. I'm not going to go on too much more. You sort of get where I'm going there. But my mindset has always been not to be who I am at the time. It's always to be who I think I can be, I guess. And I guess everybody should be like that, because if you think about it, when you're a kid, that is how you are, and it's only as you grow up, you are basically conditioned, I guess, to fit into society, because they want you to be working, they want you to be paying taxes, and they want you to be doing all that. So the mindset with quitting your job is a huge part of it. So I'm going to go down here. So this is some topics that I'm going to be covering. I'm going to be mentioning. So I'm sure there are going to be areas that I forget to cover, or maybe I should be covering more, or whatever. But I've just got to do what I can do, because this is a topic that you could spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours going into all the nitty gritty and all the details and all that sort of thing. So as I already mentioned, you sort of get the picture. Society. Now this is just my opinion. Of course, people might not like it. Now, obviously, society doesn't want you really to be doing your own thing. Yeah, it doesn't. It does for some, but most of the time, it wants you to conform, go to work, get a career, pay your taxes. Because ultimately, if no one was doing that, there wouldn't be anything. So the more people that are doing that, the more they know. It's like the council something registry. Like I'm registered at my dad's address because I don't know how long I'll be at this address for. So I don't want to register for everything and post and everything if I don't even know how long I'm going to be here. Yeah, it's been a couple of years now, but still I don't know what will happen. So I don't want to keep moving all my stuff around. I'd rather just, you know, they live down the road. I pop there every week anyway to say hi, so I just pick everything up. And I didn't reply to say that I lived here, basically, I think it was. And then they sent me letters after letter, and I was like, well, I don't really live here in my mind. I'm just here for the minute. I don't live here. And then they ended up coming round to my address and like ringing the buzzer and like making me give my. It was like they're forcing me to tell them. And I was thinking, why is that? But they want to know where you are all the time because they want to. That data's got a monetary value, I guess, to it. So it's all very much around that, and society very much, definitely the older generation. So it is pushing away from that. Is you've got to get a job and a career. Now, I don't actually really believe careers, unless you're doing like a doctor. You're going to go to university, for example, to get like a doctorate, is it? To become a doctor. Now there's only really one way for that. But obviously, you go to university to get a business degree. Yeah, you might want to start your business, but it doesn't help you start a business, and it's like an entry point to get a career and whatever, I guess. Like people who do geography and history and that sort of thing. And yeah, like my dad and that would always say, don't do that, don't do that. Now, really, I wish I never really went to university. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing. And it like was like a very nice entry point to get jobs quite quickly when I finished. But I think how many years I've wasted that I could have started making money. Or imagine if I was starting like online business at 18 from home, paying no rent or a very limited rent and that sort of thing. Imagine how I could have scaled it. And yeah, I didn't know as much, but if I had the guidance, but because society doesn't really promote that side of things, it's very difficult. So in my mind, you've got to sort of accept that society won't always agree with you. And that could be that if you're married, your wife might say, don't quit because you need to keep a career and a safe job. I don't really believe these things really apply as much these days because a lot of companies, just left, right and centre, are going into having to get liquidated and bankruptcy and administration, or they're outsourcing abroad to all these other countries, or they're automating now. This doesn't really, long term, short term, fine, but longer term, I don't really see this. And people are moving jobs all the time, and everything's just changing. So yeah, so you have to accept that not everyone will agree. Not everyone will sort of understand. Because my dad was like, "But what about a career?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What about a career? Did I have a career before?" To people like who, like. Isn't a career in like making loads of money? Like not everyone makes loads of money online, but like isn't if the end goal is to be successful and make loads of money, then it doesn't matter if it's called a career or not. Yeah, but obviously once you sort of prove yourself in the space, people start to. So with this as well, don't start saying that you're going to be doing. You can say you're going to do it, but don't say it before you've done it. With a lot of things, people always say things say that I but then no one does anything about it. And actually, you've got to do the reverse. So you've got to do it and then say you've done it. But so you don't say it, but you show it. Okay, so that's a good thing. So don't go in. I used to say to my nan, I remember years ago, I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and she's like, just started laughing at me. Basically, my nan. Oh, it was great. I went around on a Sunday for a nice beef casserole. So not like I hold anything against anyone for having their opinion. It's just because I know why they've got this mindset. So it's leading on to mindset. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of people have that society builds you up over school and all that. And then a lot of people just have this plateaued mindset. They don't really think outside that box. And I don't know I always wonder, why don't people question things sometimes? It just, why do they ever think, I wonder what it would be like to be the best me, the most successful me I could be? Like, that person Imagine, like, just picture what that could be over. I'm just gonna keep, like, I'll stick at my 25 to 30k job for the whole of my life, get a pension, and die. I don't know. I just wonder. Maybe some people can see it, maybe they can't. I don't really know. Yeah, I've not. I can just see how I see it, and I've always questioned it from since I was back then, a young kid. So I don't know. But it is a mindset thing. So you have to, not talking about that side of things anymore, but talking about yourself. You've got to already be in the right mindset. You can't be questioning what's the right thing to do. You already have to know what the right thing is to do. Now, yeah, I'm sure there are people that have just, I don't know, for example, being drunk, being like, well, yeah, I'm going to quit my job, and then like written an email and quit their job, and the next morning have like been petrified that they've been stupid, and now they're like doubting themselves and all that sort of thing. Yeah, that sort of thing. But for me, mindset wise, I already knew that what my path was. So I'd say you really need to have a strong mindset in that sense, because it's not easy. People think, oh, I'm just going to do that straight away, I'm going to make loads of money, and then I'm going to skip off into the hills and, I don't know, whatever, do with that. So, but it's not, because like you must have seen people talk about, you go up and down, up and down, up and down, and up and down, and everyone's different. And one day you're really happy and think, yeah, I'm going to smack. I have it. One day, like last week, things started falling perfectly. Like I had little opportunities for different things, all just popping up. And I thought, wow, have I done something? Like, is it my positivity that's then leading to me acting a certain way towards situations, which is then leading to positive outcomes, that sort of thing? I mean, I do believe in that sort of thing. Like, when people get really upset, when people are negative and down, they're like, oh, life's not going for me. The things that they are doing are not going to be positive things, because they're acting in a non-positive way. So they may, for example, when people say, oh, sod it, I'm not going to do that because of that, and then they don't do it, and they're like, oh, see, like nothing, like, well, it's like they're not helping it themselves, and they're not even. But say, for example, I'm being proactive and positive, I might be like, you know what, I'm going to follow up on that thing now instead of tomorrow, because I want to be that guy that's being proactive, not reactive. So I'll then, message or whatever, email someone, trying to be proactive in it, even though I could leave it a bit. And they're like, oh, great that you got back to me. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I will. Like, like that sort of thing. But if you just left it because you're like, oh, they're probably not going to message me anyway, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not that great. Like, who cares? Then you don't message them. They forget to message you, and then nothing comes from it. So, but I do believe also stuff like that's the sort of slightly. I know I'm going for a tangent all the time, and I feel like that's the best way to actually discuss this whole topic, because if I write down a list and I follow my list, so I started writing notes. You can see. But if I follow this, there's no creativity in what I'm talking about, and there's no passion, and there's no. It's like scripted, and it's very like monotone, and it's robotic, because I don't want to stick to these. I want to be able to show what is here, like I need to show you what I don't know, whatever it's called. So like a massive thing is, again, the mindset is self-belief. Now so as I mentioned, when I was in my old job, I always thought that I was capable of basically being as great as I wanted to be, because it's up to me. If I think I'm not good enough, then I won't start today for something that I could do in 30 years. So if I start today and do something, in 30 years time, I should be closer than if I never even bothered at all. So I always thought that, and I always knew that. That's why I always wanted to talk to everybody equal to myself, because I believed I'm as good as everybody is equal, because they can do whatever they want to do, be as successful as they want to do. You just got to put it in. You just got to do it, I guess. So self-belief is a massive, massive part. It's not just believing in yourself that you are capable. It's also believing in the process, because it's not just about what you're doing. I can email 1 million people with this amazing idea, but I have to actually get someone to reply to that email. So there are factors that aren't just to do with you. There are sort of two sides to it. You can only do as much as you can do, and then the other side is the world's got to then fall into place so that what you have done sort of links, I guess. I mean, I don't know, I'll probably get sounding a bit crazy saying all this stuff, but you get on. Try, hopefully some people get what I mean. Because, like, you know, self-belief's great and doing as much as you, like, can, but then if nothing comes from it, you still have to have self-belief. You can't just be like, oh, I did all that and nothing. I mean, it's not as easy as that. I know it isn't, but you have to deep down, know that it's always going to trump the negativity, or what's the opposite of self-belief? What, am I being stupid here? Okay, whatever it is. Non-self-belief? No. Okay, I don't know, maybe I'm just forgotten it or something. Or I've never learnt the word. Either or. But you've got to have that, because you can only do so much and the rest's got to come. And sometimes you won't come, but the more you do it, the more chance you've got for it to work. And another, so the next point, I did put some points. So the ability to keep going, that's important. So it's like, you have to have self-belief and do it, but you can't just stop and be like, oh, it's not worked. Maybe I should be doubting myself. So maybe I shouldn't have self-belief. Maybe I'm just fooling myself or something. But you have to be able to keep going, because you will find it does go up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes things will just align perfectly, and then you'll do exactly the same, similar, a similar exact, or whatever you want to call it, exactly the same sort of thing. Another time, and it'll be the opposite. So you've got to sort of take the good with the bad, but it's more like a balance, an average. Like anything. Statistically, everything some you have amazing results, and you have the opposite. But then the average will always be what you sort of would take, I guess. And another thing is the mindset that you're already successful. And I know this is, a lot of people. You will obviously. I mean, I do it. You're not just business, but your mindset will change. You might, say you a little bit unwell, or you went out the night before and had some beers, and then the next day you feel crappy, and then you start you feel crappy. So then that leads to thinking crappy, because your emotions are already starting to feel like you are, you know what I mean? So you really have to have that, and that's obviously, that leads back to where I obviously said when I was working, I already had the mindset that I was already, I guess, I didn't think of it as that was just my mindset. I didn't think I'm already successful. I never thought that until I started looking, until I actually got to quit my job and I started looking into into everything, more. And realise, I guess that is the, self-assured is what I used to get called at work. I never really understood what that means. Or meant. I guess it meant I believed in everything I was doing, or I believed I was capable of anything. I don't know. I don't even know now. But the mindset you're already successful, so you have to be able to believe that you are already capable, and capable, even if you don't get there, because obviously not everybody that gets there. They either quit, you might keep going and you die because you need another 100 years, but because obviously you can only do so much, and you have to have the other side come to you or align with you, because the world is the world, and it's not as easy as just doing all you can do and then it will happen. It's more chance it will. It's like luck, so people think luck is a thing, and I used to actually think, is it a thing? Is it measurable? This is when I was younger. Is it measurable? Because why does luck? Why is there such thing? What is it? And I did actually think about, I was like, imagine if you could do a study and you could see if luck over a person's lifespan, over historical people, over the lifespan of the humanity, if luck actually just balances out, or if it's slightly higher with some people or not. Now, as I've got older, I've realised that it's the things that you were doing. If I do nothing, I'm depressed, then I'm basically just never gonna, as time goes on, I'm never actually gonna align with the opportunities in the future. But if I do as much as I can to put things in place now, so that they can align, it's like seeing, we have memories that see in the past, and we can see those alignments. I can be like, oh yeah, because I did that extra hour of tennis every day for a year, and then I remember I served that match point ace. But I probably wouldn't have hit that ace if I hadn't done that extra hour you're basically practicing a serve for an hour. But you wouldn't know that in advance. You would just say, well, there's a chance I'll be better at serving. You wouldn't know where that opportunity would then arise. You might win a tennis pro might win a match and be like, oh, it was that extra hour for those years. Otherwise, it might have gone out. So you can see behind you, and you can see what's happened. It's the same with anything you do. But you have to be able to. I've lost trail of thought. No, I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, you've got to be able to do that, and so put everything in place. Because if you're like that, you're never going to hit anything. And if you're like that, you should. Yeah, luck. That was it. You should be able to, even if it's just like one, or maybe there's two. It's stupid. Two, because that way, and that's what luck is basically. I'm pretty sure, like I'm 99% sure, that's where things come from. When people say, professional, like anyone that's successful, they say, "Oh, you're so lucky," but it's because you only see what they've become. You only see people as they've become once they've become what they've become, not during what they've become, because you wouldn't have noticed them during the process. Yeah. So luck doesn't exist. Luck is exactly what I've just gone over. So if you want to promote luckiness, I guess, or whatever, then I already know now what to do. Well, I'm 30, okay, well, let's say that I can live to 100 because I put my lifestyle as well as important. Oh yeah, I got that as the next thing, that's cool. At least I can lead on. It wasn't meant for that, but I now know already, point one, that I've got to be like that. And obviously all of these topics that I'm going to discuss all will lead into each other, and it will be like a mouthful, this video, and a lot of you will probably think it's me chatting crap, but that's cool. I like it, just talking about it. And you've got to hone in that, and yes, this will grow over time, and it will go up and down over time, but it's more like you can, I think Matthew McConaughey said a great thing, like everybody has their demons, so whatever it may be in all walks of life, but it's about giving that demon just a little bit so it's there, but then the rest of the time you're actually progressing forward. So I always think if you're going 1 step back but 2 steps forward, then by the time you die, for example, and look back, it's not like you're going to be like, oh, that was a waste, because you still, if for every 2 days that you gain in real life, you lost one because you just didn't work or something. But for those 2 days you did crazy work, in 50 years' time, it will still create an outcome, a positive outcome. It should. It's just when you start doing the other side and you start doing too much of the opposite side. Yeah. Anyway, we move on because this would be a million-year video. Okay, lifestyle. So when you quit your job, see, I could talk forever on mindset and all that sort of thing. So that isn't like the extent of my discussion, but I would be here forever. So lifestyle. Now, what you'll find is that it is depressingly boring and lonely sometimes. So that is, again, I guess, leads to mindset. You've got to really be aware of it and be able to, in some way, tackle it. Because when you have a job, so I didn't really think about this until, I thought it was going to be beautiful. I thought, yeah, I quit my job. And I actually literally just, the way I quit my job, I didn't say. Because I realised that's just, this is what I got. I had 18 grand a year and I was 28. Just turned 28, I was getting 18 grand a year. And I did all this stuff they told me, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I used to say, have I made it, Dad? I did say, if you get a degree and you do your qualifications, you've made it. That is a success for that's called being successful, because you haven't just gone to McDonald's or something. You've done it. And I was like, this isn't, how is this success? Like, he's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You got a degree, you're studying. And I'm like, am I getting 18 grand a year? I'm 28. I was like, what? And then I realised, then I started doing, I started really looking. And I said, I got passed up for a promotion because I didn't have the right attitude, because I don't, for a career. But I did everything they said. I got all those qualifications that I mentioned. And I was like, so they tell me to do all these qualifications to get a promotion, to progress in this career thing that they're telling me. And then they don't give me the job, because now I've got the qualifications. There's something else that I need. And, well, attitude is not something you can just... I mean, my attitude has not changed since I've been a kid, really. And I can't see it changing anytime soon. So then I literally just like, oh, sod this. And I literally didn't turn up one day for work. Been there for like 3 or 4 years, didn't turn up for work. Because I was like, no, nothing to do with the company and that. I was like, it wasn't, because obviously it's not just instilled through that one company, it's instilled through the whole of everything. That's not, that's replicable across the country, the world, well, whatever. So I realised, see ya. And actually, I probably quit way too early. But it wasn't about that. It was about this and mindset, and I already knew what I needed to do and how I needed to do it. So when I quit, it was the last thing about lifestyle. It was about my now starting my life is actually what I thought. I thought, those bastards, I've wasted 10 years. I basically might as well just been in a coma for 10 years, given a degree and like an AAT, which you can do those things in like a couple of years. And I was like, oh man. But anyway, we all start our lives at different times. So lifestyle. Leading on to that, actually, yeah. So I felt like now I'm free as a person. That would be a mindset, I guess. But I act differently. I feel I'm now able to pursue, like give myself as me and not Luke from accounts or whatever. So actually, in my day-to-day life and lifestyle, I act and behave and see everything completely differently. Like at one point, my dad kicked me out pretty much because he was like, "No, we can't be here," because my attitude was weird and I was acting funny. And it's because I was like questioning what I don't, the whole thing I've just gone on about working it, questioning everything. And so I was obviously acting, or whatever that is. I was acting not content or satisfied or at ease, I guess you could call it. And as soon as I quit, my attitude and everything just completely changed. Even though nothing's changed. All I've done is one thing, and I actually haven't changed. But everyone says, well, my dad and his wife say that I'm completely different. So I always thought, I can't be the best me while I'm in a job, because if I don't want to be doing something, I actually believe you don't need to do it. So I actually now believe that. So the way that I go about pursuing my life, not job, but like what I do for business and work, is, do I want to do it? If not, is it because I'm just having a bad day or something? But if it's too much, like if it's always like that, then I actually think I don't want to do it, and I'll stop doing something. So not like, if I need to do it to make some money, because if I just stop the business entirely, obviously I have no money. But I would be like, right, if I don't enjoy it and I don't like it, I believe you don't need to in life. So people think you need to go to work and all that to actually, you have to. But I don't believe you do. I believe that you can do whatever you want and be more successful than you would in a job. That's how I believe it. Because everything you're going to be doing is now not just for the sake of doing it, it's because you want to do it. And if you want to do it, then you're going to be good at it, or you will learn to be good at it, which will mean that it will then promote, what I'm trying to say. It will promote positivity. That means I'll become an expert because I want to know how to do it, not just good or decent. I'll be thinking about it and acting, and it's not like I'll go to work. I don't feel like I go to work. I just do stuff, I guess. Then it gives me money or something. And yeah, and so it's very much like that. Oh, it's going to be a long video. Sorry if you get a bit bored of this. I do go off. I try to act in accordance to the topic schedule. So you will get quite lonely and bored. And luckily there are over time now it is becoming a bit more of a community, and there are events and there are things, and I would say go to these events, even if it costs £300 hotel and ticket, because you might only go to one a year or two a year, and really, like, you're not driving to work every day. Think about the money you're not really paying out any more than you would have just going to a job, because you're not paying petrol, you're not buying any lunches, you know, you're not doing a Christmas party like where you would spend loads of money buying alcohol or something, and you know, so it actually it ends up being the same. So at least go to one a year. I've been to two sort of Christmas party event meetups things, and amazing. Yes, you might not like. It's not like you talk. You don't have speakers and stuff as such, but you just talk to people that are like you, and that you actually feel like you can talk to people about it without them being like, "What the hell is that about?" Like selling online, like on Amazon, doing Shopify. What the hell is Shopify? Or what's this, that, and you know, people. I work in accounts. Like I'm an IT specialist. What's da 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 da? Well, actually, they might know that if they're an IT specialist. So you really have to accept that it will be, you know, boring or depressing, or because, like, for example, I'm in this is literally my bedroom. You want to see? There's my bed. So I wake up, get changed, have coffee, have breakfast, and then I'm sitting back here again. I basically might as well just have a bed sit, you know, because, you know, a lot of that other, I use when I'm doing other things. I might go into there, but today and yesterday I've just been at the desk doing work. Now, you know, it's all mental as well. You know, it's all like people like to get out, change of scenery, change of experiences, but it won't. But a lot of the time it will just be the same thing all the time. And yeah, you can go into the next room, but I'm still. How many times have I been into these rooms, like back and, you know, over time? Yeah, you could go to a coffee shop and you could do that, but I do need to do things like it's not as practical as you think. I think sometimes you could do it for half a day and now and then, but a lot of the time you've got to, where everything is, you've got to be, because I feel like a lot of the time you are you need to do things basically. So you need to really accept that will happen, and it happens. It is the same for everyone. So it may be that that isn't for you, and you may realise that and be like, no, I want to work a bit, maybe part-time, or I don't know. Yeah, it's something you're going to have to accept. And luckily, there are now communities that meet up, chat. So you know that they are coming up and stuff. So you can. It's all to do with, like, you know, your mentality. If you know this, it's always going to be like this. It's very hard to stick to the straight and narrow. But if you know that almost there's some sort of reward, or you know, it's like if you haven't had any tasty food for a week. If you know you're going to have some on Saturday, and it's like Thursday or Friday. If you know that on Saturday I'm going to go for a buffet to an Indian or Chinese. You don't start thinking, daydreaming about should I go and have a takeaway tonight or tomorrow, because you already know that the reward or the little thing is coming up. But if you have no future plans for it, you start thinking, your mindset will be like, I want it now. Anyway, we'll move on because my battery's dying as well. Results. So you will find that you're obviously probably going to have some results before you quit your job. So that's where the verification of can I quit my job comes from, because you get some results, or you might hear, you know, you might think I'll get results because I've seen that everyone else is getting results, maybe. But I would say make sure you're getting your own results first before it would even become a thing. Because it's okay everyone else doing it, but you know, there's lots of people that can. I keep saying bring up the tennis thing. A lot of people can't play tennis, but does it mean I can play tennis and make money from it? Probably, you know, well, definitely not. But you know, it's okay people doing it, but you've got to do it yourself. You've got to be able to do it yourself, because not everyone can do stuff. Some people are better at one thing and not the other. I see people that seem to be unable to, like, read keeper charts as much as they try. Where for me, it's so easy, and I don't even have to look at it. I just like glimpse it, and I already know if I'm buying things. So, but then they might be great at something else, and I'm not, and that's just sort of how you got to do it. And not every business model online is, they're all different. So you got to be able to get the results first. So I stay there. even if it's not huge results, some people are very, very, they have a lot of scarcity in their mind, scarcity mindset, I call it. Like they're very, very proper because they're still very much in this career mode. Like, well, I want to make sure. And another thing is, the younger you are doing it, the better and easier it is. And the older you are with more responsibilities, the harder it is to quit the job, because not only do you have your own self, you have maybe wife and kids and stuff, and that's a house mortgage. This is where I was talking about, the more that you have, the harder it is, because it's more to lose, I guess, because you are stuck now. You're stuck. That's how I see it. That's what I just rent at the moment. And your ability to adapt and move and change gets more limited over time. So anyway, but let's move back. So results, yeah. So definitely start making money, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could quit in 3 months. I quit in like 3 months. So from actually having that accountancy job thing to just walking out was like, no, maybe 4. Yeah. So I did my first year. My first test month was December 2016, and then I quit in end of March. Shouldn't have. Realistically, most people wouldn't have done that, but I remember it was the best feeling in the world, like literally the best feeling I've had ever in my life, probably, or something. But I knew I had to act. So I already sort of had, and back then it was slightly easier and stuff like this. So the results, and I was doing slightly different techniques and methods. So results. But yeah, so have some results, but there's no right time. A lot of people say, I want 6 months reserve cash to pay bills, or 3 months, or 1 month, or maybe you've got savings, but maybe you don't want to touch your savings. But definitely, at least make sure you've got some sort of proven record. You know what you're doing, and you can see that it is working, and maybe scaling it will just be all you need to do. So urgency. And if you've got any comments or questions or whatever, then just comment either on the Facebook group, like in the comment bit, or on the whatever that thing is, description, I don't know, comment thing on the YouTube, because you might have questions on more areas than this. But urgency. So like with anything, this would be my example. Amazon changes all the time. So back in the day, we were like, well, is online arbitrage, for example, that's a lot of people will start on. Will it be feasible in 2 years? The answer is we didn't know. We know that America has gatings into Disney, Lego, whatever, different areas, different brands and all that. And we thought, was it going to be a year? Would it be 6 months? Would it be 5 years? We don't know when that could happen. This across there. So can we sell stuff? Will there be more restrictions? Will there this? And it has changed. Loads of stuff's changed, but it's one of those things you could be like, oh, you know what, I'll have a month off. And I was like that. So last year I did a great Christmas in 2017. And I was basically just dossing for a couple of months. I was still doing everything. But I was not really, there was no urgency. There was no discipline. There was just like, I did think a bit like, now what? My mindset was there. But then as soon as I did what I was setting out to do, I didn't really know what to do. So, but urgency, because you never know when something's going to happen. So, like for myself, last year I started the Facebook group. I can't remember when I exactly started it, but I started the Facebook group last maybe March or something. The YouTube channel, videos, like just basically being creative in what I would want next year. So now or something. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? But I didn't want to be stuck, like ticking over on one thing, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So you need to have some level of urgency in everything you are doing, because otherwise you're not going to be sustainable, because it's more like, yeah, it's working now, but you don't want to be yo-yoing between jobs if you can help it. And there's nothing bad about something happening and having to go back to get a job and then starting again and building up. But now you've already got knowledge and information and understanding a bit more experience, and you can carry on. There's nothing wrong with that, because things, as I said, you can only do so much, and if it doesn't work, then that doesn't define you, yeah? But you need some level of urgency, because long term, we're talking about 10, 20, and I obviously only been doing it a couple of years, so I don't actually know, but it's more, without urgency, you're not going to be long-term successful. And I don't know if that's true, but I think it's a no-brainer, pretty much, isn't it? You're not going to be a lifetime long, whatever you are, whatever it is that we like online thingy-majiggy stuff. Next one, discipline. So it's sort of the same thing. Urgency, discipline, as I mentioned. So there's two things. One, always have targets before you hit the target. So never just have a target, hit it, and then be like, what's the next target? You can do that, but I find it a bit risky, because where I did that once, and I hit the target, that was great, yeah. And then I was like, you know what, let's just think about what my next target is. Oh, 2 months went past, and I wasn't really that disciplined, and wasn't that urgent. And I was like, well, I need to make sure that I think of the right. You need to have realistically set out way in advance, so that you are always urgent, because you know what you're trying to get, not what is the next one, but you don't know yet, so you've got to think about it, and then you never really know anyway, because so you've got to really be that. And then another aspect of it, probably the hardest aspect of it, is that knowing that you don't have to get up in the morning if you don't want to. Now, I know that is, some people have issues with that and some people don't. I used to love my sleep. And I still do. On the weekend, I will, depending on what happens, sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. I can get up at 11:30. Like, I don't know, there's some sort of here, like, comfort thing about laying and rubbing the quilt on myself or something. But the me now, and the me in bed, is I can sometimes switch it round and be this person, but a lot of the time it's some sort of instinctual person. Like today, I got up at 6:30. Perfect. Like, I wanted to get up. If I really was, my dream down the line is to get up at 4. Yeah, I might go to bed at 10 or 9:30, 10, but it's to get up at 4, so you can get, because wasn't it a lot of successful people get up early, but I know it's not so much the same now because you can work on your laptop at night time and stuff, but still, I like to try to get that. I do sometimes order deliveries from Tesco's or Asda at like 5:30, so I have to get up at 5. That's quite a cool tactic to force the discipline, because I know that I'm not always disciplined, so I try to put in place the guy that I am now, the Luke that I am now. I'll be like, right, what can I do to make sure that I'm more disciplined, because I know that I might deviate from that plan, and I'll do that. So sometimes I'll try to get like 1 or 2 mornings every week at 5:30 or something. But you've got to really be disciplined. And yeah, okay, for example, if you get up at 8 and you start work at 8:30, 9, that's not, it's not the end of the world, because that's normally the sort of around the time people start work. And if you've been conditioned in that the whole of your life, it's not necessarily easy just to change and start working from 4 in the morning or something. And I always work till about 10 or 11 at night. So I will, the average time I get up will be between 7 and 8, probably. Then I get up like 6:30 today, or 5 o'clock sometimes. Let's say it's about 7:30. And sometimes I just do some work from in bed, and then I'll be working from 9. I'll get up and be working from 9, like dressed, showered, already. But I will work till 10 and 11. Let's say 10 most of the time. But I might have. I always like to watch YouTube and learn. It might not be learning on like really depthy things, but just certain subjects like projects that I want to pursue in the future, like down the line, like cryptocurrencies, for example. For the last year and a half, I watch about like 3 or 4 hours a day on cryptocurrencies. Just learning for the future, because like no one really thinks about that now. So like that's one thing I'm trying to get. Where I was a bit late to the Amazon online arbitrage in that 2-3 years ago, because really 5 years ago would have been nice, or 6 years ago. I'm trying to find that next thing earlier. So I'm trying to find, I don't want to be late, but I wasn't late because people are starting now, but I want to be there at the beginning. So I now need to look outside the box even further than just quitting your job and doing this. I need to think even more outside and think, well, what is no one looking at that the institutions and NASDAQ and all that sort of thing, and they're looking at cryptocurrencies. They're investing heavily, but no one really even pays attention to it because it's not on the news. Everyone thinks it's a scam, which is the perfect, because that's exactly what they want you to think, so that it's easy for them to enter the market, because no one's in the market to make it fluctuate, or no one's in the market to drive the market up so they can get in when there's almost no market as such. But and then they're already there and ready, because I mean most professional institutions wouldn't get in when the market's already there. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm trying to get into that, and that's something I'm just learning. But anyway, so I don't know, I deviated a bit there. So the discipline is something you really got to do, and it's just knowing that discipline is linked with urgency, because you know that you have to be disciplined, because otherwise there's not as much urgency. And that then leads on to fear and failure. So I'll go on to failure first. So the good thing is, the one thing I want in my life is fear or failure. So a lot of people wonder, what the hell do I mean? Like, because basically in real life, in day-to-day in humanity, you run away from fear or failure. So if you know it could lead to these things, you run away. But if you think about it, all the things that you probably had the best like moments of like, wow, or like, that wasn't so bad, or there's no fear there, like, you know, bungee jumping, or I don't know, whatever you might have done, like flying, you actually realise, oh, okay, I've grown as a person now because fear led me to be. So fear. So if you can find fear here, and you can cross over that, you're probably going to grow and learn as a person, aren't you? Because if you think about it, anything that you can remember being fearful about, really fearful or scared about, you remember it, because it must, you know, you've held on to it because you've actually realised that, oh, you know what, I really learned a lot there. Like, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Like, the experience, like, you know, I flew and it was amazing, it was beautiful, and all that sort of thing. So fear is great to find. So if you can find fear, just smash on, because you'll probably grow as a person. And that leads to the failure part. So if you're not disciplined or urgent, it will lead to failure. Also fear, because you feel like you're not doing any work. But failure. So I've had this. Like, I've done really well, and then I've done, you know, that's how you find with everyone. It goes up and down, and you'll be like, I'm doing amazing, then you're doing crap, or like you'd be crying in the corner because you feel like you're going to be bankrupt tomorrow or something. Yeah, just do this. But failure is good, because I find, for two reasons. If you fail, for me personally, it makes me act. So I was listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad, the audiobook, and he actually says the same as what I already thought, which is weird, because I always just go off, I don't know, whatever I think, I just think it's my own thoughts, and I just like la la la, just dancing around in my own head or whatever, having a jolly. But he says, like, failure is good because, you know, so one guy says, when I have failure, and like the tax man's chasing me, it makes me act. It makes me actually know. I basically now know that is my indicator, like a warning light, to act and do double, like just you know, create something that wasn't there, whatever you want to call it. Which is an interesting thing. So, you know, I had that a couple of times, not really, but I thought I did. I was like, oh, it's going to go to crap, I'm going to have to get a job or something, you know, just, oh, is it going to work and all that. But then when you feel like that, the next day I'm like you got it. In my mind, I'm like, I just start laughing, no way you're getting me. I'm not going back to a job, and I'll be like, I'm up at, like, set the alarm, 5 o'clock, I'm up, like, right. And I'm like, and then that week, that's what I was saying. Remember that week? I said, like, that week, loads of things just fall into place, and I'm like, see, sod you, like, world or whatever, like, sod you, whatever it is. So that's why I find fear is a great thing. So failure is a great thing, not necessarily getting that failure, but having that fear of failure as you feel like it's approaching or getting there. So when you have none of that, it's almost the worst position because you feel like you just tick over. You feel content, happy, and you don't really try out as hard. So with having fear of failure is great because it keeps you on edge and acting, rather than just being like, a bit blasé, a bit like you just take your foot off the gas. That's why a lot of great professionals, great like stars, get worse. That they're the best at whatever, and then they seem to just they're the best for however long, let's say a year or a little bit. They win everything. Well, definitely footballers, they win loads of stuff, and then they just seem to not be quite as good. And it's like because they've already hit it, and so while they're there, the sort of fear is there isn't really any fear because they haven't. They're the opposite of failure, and so I don't. So I like to actually have that. I never really. This is as time's progressed and I've sort of been doing it myself. This is what I've sort of seen for myself. And it's great because, and a great thing about failure and fear is that, let's say that you start a business. Okay, so I already believe, so remember I said I already have the mindset that I am successful in everything. That's now because I believe I'll get to that point. Because if you keep failing, that's, okay, so what, just like anything, if I fail now, then the next time I do it's probably a little bit better. It's like cycling. When you get on a bike, pedal bike, you're probably going to be a bit better next time. And then eventually you can ride a bike or play tennis or play football or fly a plane or whatever you do. Yeah? So, but you already know that if you keep failing, then you're going to eventually be able to do it because you failed 1,028,985,000, whatever we want to call it, so many times that you can't fail anymore because you just can't. So it's like business. If you failed in 1 million businesses, then that next business is probably going to be the one that's successful because you can't fail more than 1 million times because it's just, you've learned everything you need to learn and you know it all off by heart. And you're like, you can just like, if I walked into a business and like, right, I'm going to turn this business around, and then you got like Richard Branson that walks in that business. And he's like, right, I'm turning this around. Well, what? He's learned lots. He's probably going to do 1 million times better than I am. Why? He's learned something, which is meaning he can do it better. Well, it's not necessarily all through failure. Of course, you can learn through books, but it's a continuous process. But the more failure, the more likely you are to then be successful. So you want failure almost because I'm not going to get to success without failing. So as soon as I get a failure or it approaches, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want because I need this because otherwise I'm just never going to get anywhere. Yeah, and these are more complex topics as you go down, but I feel like I didn't have any of this. I just quit my job and I was like, well, let's go, let's crack on. But and you learn a lot along the way. But the more failure you got, the more chance that you are to succeed next time. Well, if you already know that, then every time that you fail, you're closer. And if you already know that, then you're already successful. Because you've already accepted that you're going to fail loads of times, so therefore you are successful. And you will be successful. So you already are successful. So it's just when you stop, and it's when you don't seek failure. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there because my battery's at 4% and I want to save the video. So, I'm sure there is a lot that you've either learnt, laughing at, think I'm a bit deluded maybe, or whatever, crazy, weird. Anyway, you get what I mean. Hopefully you've got some enjoyment out of this and it's given you some topics that you may have not looked at. You may have only looked at sort of lifestyle. You could talk about finance and stuff, but that's not. It's not what you need. You can do stuff. You can just do stuff slower without finance and stuff. So there's no point me going into that because it doesn't really. It's all subjective, I guess. These are things you really got to be aware of. Maybe not think about. You've got to be doing all of these at once, but you've got to know that they are there for you to then act when something presents itself, I guess. rather than be blasé. So I was very blasé in a lot of things, and I had to just like fall over myself, and probably it's taken me longer to do a lot of things than it should have if I'd known a lot of these things already. Smash a thumbs down if you think it's shit or good or bad or whatever you want to call it, and this sort of thing. If you like it, like it. Comments if you want any questions or whatever. But yeah, it's just a bit of an interesting new video because I always do something really like specific and like to the just in detail, and that's it. But this is actually really like, I love talking about these things to everyone, and I love like having mini arguments about like mindset and society and all that, just for people that have jobs and my friends and that. It's just so fun. Anyway, leave the video there. It's been about an hour and 5, so hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video. See ya.